dedicating the Nobel Peace Prize to Trump can only be seen in one way. In my opinion, here's how I see it. I see it as a trade-off. It's a trade-off. She's basically saying, I gave you the Nobel Peace Prize, which you've always wanted, and you wanted it so much. We all know how much you wanted this. And you deliver me the Euro's head and the Venezuelan presidency. Now, we're yet to see if Trump is going to take the deal or not. And this takes us to our next topic. Let's talk about Venezuela, you guys. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of Venezuelan stuff coming up in the news recently. And people are going as far as talking about a US invasion of Venezuela, which is crazy, to be honest. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I actually, to be honest, I was actually dismissing it. At first, I was saying it's not going to happen. This is just far fetched. And Trump is not the guy to start wars. But I learned a few things since then because I was doing my research and I was like, one thing actually made me interested in this whole debacle of Venezuela US thing. And it was the Venezuelan presidential election that I think it was just a few months ago, maybe last year, I'm not exactly sure. But it was incredibly suspicious the way Elon Musk was attacking Maduro, this guy, basically the president of Venezuela. He was attacking him so much, and the campaign on X was so like strong. Like whether you wanted it or not, even if you've just created your X account, you're just gonna see the misinformation about Venezuela. I just want to say this, by the way, about Venezuela. I don't know much about Venezuela. I don't want to wrong Venezuelans. Maybe this guy is indeed a dictator. I don't know much about him. Like South America is probably a place where I know the least amount of things about. I don't know much about Venezuela. I just put that out there. So I'm not gonna defend him. I'm not gonna say anything about him just to avoid things. Maybe he's some crazy dictator. Who knows, right? But it was incredibly suspicious how these guys were just like interfering with Venezuelan stuff. Like they were like, "Oh, this guy's a dictator. He actually lost the election. The elections were rigged. Blah blah blah." Like just overthrowing him. And upon like when the results of the election came, I don't know. Again, I don't know if they were if this guy is like some crazy guy who rigged the election. I don't know. Again, but it doesn't matter. Elon Musk is a freaking South African. I mean, I would have understood it if it was if it was doing like this all this interference and this fear mongering, even like destabilizing stuff. If it was about the South African elections, right? At the end of the day, it's from South Africa. It has very strong opinions about the government, the whole dynamic there, even started the whole white genocide thing. But this is Venezuela we're talking about. What does he have to do with it? Like, did he have a deal with the opposition lady was talking about? Like, did he have a deal with her? Like, what's going on? Why is he so interested and so invested in taking out this guy? And I did some more research. I have to say, I have not understood the exact reason why they're so, not only him, by the way, not only Elon Musk, but the whole Trump administration is so invested in taking out this guy in any way necessary, whether through regime change, through like some elections, like sponsoring the opposition lady, or going as far as an invasion, a regime change through an invasion. They're that crazy. Yeah, you had it. They're that crazy. I found out an even crazier thing. You would imagine this whole thing just started during this administration, right? But that's not it. The Trump administration was planning a possible US invasion of Venezuela in the first Trump presidency. What's so good about Venezuela? Like with no with all due respect, like if it is oil, they have Saudi, which is basically kissing their feet. Like it's Saudi would do anything for the United States, you guys. Like you don't get it. Sort of mutual relationship. Trump talks about them like this cash cow, and they don't feel offended at all because that's what they are. So it's probably not about oil. So what is going on? Like I just wanted to deal with that monologue about this whole thing. I don't get it. I don't know why they're so interested, but suffice to say that the Venezuelan people, or maybe let's just say the Venezuelan administration right now, is not taking these whole threats lightly. They're preparing for a possible invasion. They've put their military on high alert. They're training local militias. They do everything like they're preparing the internal front for a possible war. So things are not looking good, you guys. Things are not looking good. And hopefully the Venezuelan people understand that even if they don't like this guy, this is not how you remove a dictator, you guys. This is not how you remove the oppressor or the dictator. Or, this is not it. You can look at Iraq. The country today is dysfunctional. These guys invited a foreign invasion to their country because they didn't like the dictator in their country and they wanted to remove him in any way possible. Today, they have a secessionist enclave in the north. They have numerous issues. They have corruption. Like there's a huge societal fracture, and that's just a few things that I've named there. And if the Venezuelan people are not awakened to this, it's probably gonna bring them more problems than they think. The country might not return to the way it was ever again. Now, if Venezuelans are ready to risk it all to remove him, more power to them. As I said, I don't know enough about this guy, so maybe it's some bad guy who deserves to be removed, like Assad in Syria. I'm just saying, this is not the way to do it, you guys. This is just gonna cause a huge societal fracture, especially considering this guy has the ears of a huge chunk of the Venezuelan society. We're gonna read this article and discuss other things. So the political, one of a few trusted outlets, forces that it has its propaganda times, but largely trustable, reputable magazine. So it says Trump has a different plan to oust Maduro this time around. And it basically starts with the first time President Donald Trump tried to push Nicolas Maduro out of power. He wasn't coy about it. He wasn't secretive about it, basically. He accused the Venezuelan dictator of stealing an election, stripped US recognition from Maduro's government, imposed sanctions on Caracas, and rallied other countries to pressure Maduro to quit. And it didn't work. So, again, I have another question here. Why are they so interested in Venezuela and this guy? Like, did he do something to them? Of course, like, there's always labels ready from the US government, of course, sometimes. In his case, in the Middle East, they say it's terrorism, sponsors of terrorism, whatever. In this guy's case, they're saying that he's exporting drugs and stuff to America. But if it's true, it's not exactly accurate. There are probably other countries which export more, like China exports like freaking fentanyl or something to the United States. Like they never talk about that so openly because they don't want to offend China. There's Mexico, which is a neighboring country. Of course, is responsible for a lot of the drugs that are in the US. But you never hear Trump administration talking about invading Mexico, right? And then the big one is Cuba, a communist country which is extremely close to American territory, which has been a historical thorn on the side. But still, there's no talk of American invasion of Cuba. But Venezuela, why? Why Venezuela? You know, it's just a mystery, man. Like I don't get it. So let's continue. So in his second term, Trump is targeting Maduro differently, and his message is uncharacteristically for Trump. It's direct. Even though Trump continues to say Maduro is an illegitimate leader, he has said we're not talking about regime change in Caracas. Instead, he's emphasizing the long-standing accusation that the strongman is a drug lord and a dangerous criminal. Yeah, by the way, he put a bounty on his head. Such a barbaric thing to do, by the way, to put a bounty on the head of the leader of another country. Yeah, that's just how America behaves. The plan, people familiar with the situation tell me, is to force Maduro out as part of Trump's ongoing fight against drug cartels. The effort has included labeling such groups as terrorist organizations carrying out militant strikes against alleged drug carrying boats from Venezuela, raising the US bounty on Maduro's head to 50 million and cutting off diplomatic talks with Caracas. By the way, people have been saying the so-called drug carrying boats that the US has been striking are just fishing boats, Venezuelan fishing boats. Which, if it's true, that is incredibly evil, man. Just using this killing innocent people to use them as like some political card is extremely evil. Anyway, we continue. The campaign may not formally be about regime change, but if the pressure from the anti-cartel moves but if the pressure from the anti-cartel moves happen, happens to topple Maduro, well, the president and his team will be delighted. While Trump admires many of the world's autocrats, he has long appealed to genuinely dislike Maduro. South American has socialist roots, not far right tendencies the way Trump favorites, such as Hungary's Viktor Orban and Russia's Vladimir Putin do. And I've had this from multiple US officials over the years. Trump is truly aghast at how Maduro serves the economy of our once vibrant Venezuela. Would everyone like Maduro to go? Yes, unquote. But Trump administration officials said of the US president and his ally and his aides, they're going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on him. He's weak. It's quite possible that he will fall from this pressure alone without us having to do anything more direct. But Trump is willing to eventually do anything, to eventually do quote unquote anything, question mark. Send an invasion force to Venezuela to launch a missile with Maduro's name on it. Maybe that would be crazy. Trump's team doesn't seem to be ruling anything out. Trump has many plans available to him, including ones calling for airstrikes against drug cartels on Venezuelan soil. But he has issued no order to directly take out Maduro, the official said. Still, one person familiar with the discussions suggested that if Maduro is considered a drug lord and a terrorist, he could become a fair target. Quote, don't we don't we go after indicted narco traffickers and terrorists all the time? Question mark, unquote. The person said, I granted both people anonymity to talk about sensitive internal deliberations. The White House didn't respond to our request for comment. I'm not sure if there's some special time for this approach. Regime change on the side, whatever you call it, it may prove harder to pull off than the steps Trump has taken so far. The US has tried an array of campaigns against authoritarians in the past. Some have gone heavy on economic sanctions, Iran, Cuba. Some have armed rebels, Afghanistan. Some have used US military in ways that technically were not about ousting a regime, Libya, or war in Iraq. These efforts can weaken autocrats and sometimes hasten their fall, but they also can take many years, and it's often not clear whether U.S. pressure or another factor following them out. The U.S. takedown of Manuel Noriega, the paramilitary ruler of Panama, troublesome long-time CIA asset, provides an interesting comparison to the face-off with Maduro. The U.S. imposed sanctions on Panama in the 1980s, indicted Noriega on drug trafficking charges, and refused to diplomatically engage the puppetry regime he oversaw. But Noriega didn't lose power until the US invaded Panama with more than 20,000 troops in late 1989 and detained him. The invasion was started by Noriega's forces' attacks on Americans in Panama, as well as concerns about control of the Panama Canal. Venezuela is a big, more complicated country, of course, making the Trump's team's approach even more unpredictable. Maduro has survived for a long time with the support of the country's security forces, even if there is strong evidence that the country's citizens keep voting against it. I believe Trump is willing to escalate his anti-hotel campaign, and I'm not convinced he'd ever send a full invasion force to topple Maduro. That's partly because it could trigger alarm bells in the Magallanes, which has strong isolationist streak. Well, I think we learned one thing from this article, and it's that the invasion could kind of happen, but it won't be a large invasion like an all-out Iraq style invasion. It's gonna be a smaller sort of like maybe special forces team, right? They could arm some militias or some armed rebels or something. Like there's a lot of things they could do if they want to start things, but hopefully they don't. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully Trump actually believes the whole peacemaker thing and just stays in character and just continues to stop wars and not start new ones. Right? If the Venezuelans want to kick this guy out, their president or whatever, there's many ways to do it. Inviting a foreign invasion is not it's not gonna solve their problems. It's just gonna make things worse. And I hope Venezuelans understand this. The cost of inviting American invasion is gonna be immense. Hopefully they don't go down that route.